Hello chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov chess channel, and welcome to the game that we have been waiting for. Welcome to the beautiful match game between the world champion Magnus Carlsen and Alireza Firouzja. So we're now in the round 6 of the FTX Crypto Cup tournament, and who knows what will happen in some combinations. Alireza Firouzja has also some chances to win the whole thing. He has now to win his match game against Magnus, and he has to hope maybe that Pragananda makes a positive result against Magnus. So in some combinations, as I said, Alireza could be the winner. But if Magnus, of course, plays like he played already in this tournament, then I think Magnus will make it. So it's quite a dynamic game. Who wins this one, I think, has really some realistic chances to win the whole thing. So let's see now what happened. We're starting immediately with the game one. The game one was already an incredible wild game. So let's see now what happened. Alireza played here with the white pieces, Magnus with the black pieces. So Alireza opened with the move e4, and we have now c6, the Caro-Kann defense by the world champion Magnus Carlsen. And Alireza in the past also played very often now the Caro-Kann defense, so he, I think, also is familiar with the common tactics, with the common strategic ideas in the middle game stage. So his response was knight to f3, we have d5, and after move knight to c3, the so-called two knights attack. Here Magnus Carlsen already spiced up the game, played sort of a dubious idea. I think he played now the move queen to a5, and there is a rule in chess that says you should not bring your queen early into the game. This is in my opinion a risky move. This move has been played many times in chess history. It's not such a huge problem. Probably Magnus Carlsen wanted to get out of some theoretical lines that are familiar maybe to Alireza Firouzja, but still you see now how this queen will be more and more endangered by this knight, especially also by some other piece activity of white. So this is quite risky. So the main line would be something here to play the move bishop to g4, then it leads into this one, a3, bishop to f3, and then with queen to f3, here the game would be very cemented in the center. In the near future, black would play e6, will develop maybe the bishop to d6, knight to f6, knight to d7. So black could have, although black lost here the light square bishop, black still would have, I think, a dominant position in the center, would have also compact position, especially with this beautiful pawn chain. But okay, here in the continuation, as we said, queen to a5 was played by Magnus. Here Alireza develops normally with bishop to e2, we have d takes e4, and now knight to e4, bishop to f5 attacking the knight, and now knight to g3. We'll see many times this maneuver by the knight. You see in this line, so white has already broke 3 pieces out, meanwhile black is only 1 piece out, and as we said, the queen is a little bit endangered here on the square a5. So we have bishop to g6, kingside castling, and now knight to d7 by Magnus Carlsen, d4. Now we're threatening from white's perspective also some ideas of bishop to d2, and now e6 here by Magnus Carlsen. So now comes the tricky part. Here Alireza Firouzja played a beautiful theoretical novelty, knight to h4, and when it comes to computer evaluations, maybe this is not the best move. Maybe, I don't know, the best engines of the world would suggest something else, but this is a beautiful move. I think the normal idea in the Caro-Kann defense for white is to chase a little bit this light square bishop, and you see now the queen will still lose many tempi in order to get better in some better shapes. Meanwhile, bishop to f4, f5 is an opportunity also, c3, c4, I don't know, a3, b4. I think white has the only flexibility here to proceed in the game. Black is now really to defend the position. So beautiful theoretical novelty, chasing immediately away this this bishop on g6. So we have bishop to d6, we have c4. Here Alireza is grabbing really some space on the queen side, and now you see the queen has to retreat again to d8, although maybe knight to f6 seems like a normal idea, but as I said, I like this choice by white, f4, with the idea and then to play the move f5. You see, because you didn't play here actively in the opening stage, this move f5 would be very risky. Even if you castle now, I don't kingside castling, f5, knight to f5, knight to f5, this knight on f5 would be very dangerous. Your bishop is here a little bit in danger. Still we have bishop to d2, bishop to c3, maybe then eventually also d5. So I'm not sure what is really here the best move, but so many beautiful moves. I think they're only possible just for white. So black is now, as I said, on the defensive side. After move c4, Magnus retreated to with the queen to d8, really messed up move. Now Alireza is saying, okay, I will grab the bishop. We have h takes g6 and now d5. So it's a normal idea. The king stayed a little bit too long in the center of the board. You have played twice with the queen without doing anything. Okay, Magnus had this idea, queen to h4, but this is not such a huge problem, because here we have h3. Here Alireza is not allowing some checkmates on the h file, and here Magnus eventually played the move e takes d5. If you play bishop to g3 here, it's not such a huge problem here for Alireza to lose maybe this pawn on g3, because we have this one, d takes e6, f takes c6. Look how messed up this position is in front of black's king. All of these pawns are weaknesses. Bishop to f4 is going to happen. You don't have the opportunity here to castle on queen side anymore, because after bishop to f4, here the bishop would slide here all over the diagonal. You would not be able to escape here, maybe to b8, to a8. The queen will come to d6, so probably white will build even a beautiful bishop and queen battery on dark squares. You don't have anymore the dark square to defend your dark square, so I would not love to play now this position from black's perspective anymore. So as we said, Magnus played e takes d5. The better idea is maybe to play the move c takes d5, because after c takes d5, at least the e file is kept a little bit locked now. Now with the move e5, at least you can prolong the game somehow. At least you have defended for a while, and now maybe with knight to e7, knight to f6, develop the knight and get out of this mess, get finally out of white's attack. But Magnus played e takes d5, allowed now c takes d5. Still, as I said, bishop to g3 really doesn't make sense, because you're still too far away from castling. You have to play still a knight move, and then you have to play another move with the king in order to castle. Now rook to e8, rook to e1 is going to happen. So here the king is already endangered in the center of the board. So here c5. So Magnus is now trying to keep the position blocked. He's leaving now Alireza also with an isolated pawn, but this isolated pawn is not such a huge problem, because it's still supported. It creates really some dynamics in the center. Now Alireza played a beautiful move a4, and Alireza's idea here is to play a5 and then to play rook to a4, getting this other rook into the game to build a beautiful rook lift. Look how Alireza is playing the game. Really attractive stuff. Really nice middle game ideas Alireza produced here. That's why Magnus blocked out this move a5. But look at this move a5. Okay, it's maybe solving one position problem, but it creates now another one, because now the bishop can come here on b5. So it's really weird how Magnus played now the game. After move a4, you have to play, I think, knight to f6. You have to finally secure the king. You have to get out of this mess somehow and just hope for a draw. But Magnus played, as I said, a5, bishop to b5 by Alireza. We have knight to f6, and you see now this move a5 cost basically Magnus the privilege to castle. Now rook to e1, you have to step back. We have here king to d8, and now rook to a3. Now Alireza is trying rook to c3, rook to c4. Here Alireza really desperately tried to get this beautiful rook into the game. Really beautiful ideas here by the top grandmaster Alireza. So we have rook to e8. Magnus wants now to simplify the game by trading off more pieces, and here comes, I think, maybe the first inaccuracy sort of by Alireza. Rook to e8 was really unnecessary. You just continue with your plan. Bishop to d2, maybe something like rook to e1, queen to e1, maybe b6, but still you play bishop to c3, rook to c3, rook to c4 is an opportunity, rook to e3 is an opportunity maybe to get this rook on a beautiful square on e8, so the knight would be a little bit paralyzed. You cannot take out the pawn on d5 because you get this check. So as I said, I really don't want to analyze this game. What happens if that happens? This is not the way they go, I think, in this beautiful game. I think we should really understand that the only activity in this position has white. Black has really, as I said also in the beginning of the, has just to defend the position. So that's why here maybe slightly inaccurate move by Alireza. Here after move rook to e8, king to e8, here he basically allowed now a little bit maybe Magnus Carlsen to escape, but still Alireza continues with his plan. Rook to c3 with the idea to play rook to c4. Really stunning stuff. So we have now king to d8 again by Magnus Carlsen, and this was maybe even the crucial mistake in the game, because you have to, I think, here play queen to d4. You have to simplify the game. You have to just get out of this mess. You have to hope for a draw and say, okay, this was a bad game that I played. I will play better in the next game. Just maybe prolong the game just by playing queen to d4, trading off the queens, hoping for the best, as I said. But here Magnus played rook to king to d8, allowed now this idea rook to c4. That was the only plan by Alireza. He produced now, as I said, this beautiful rook to, and now the queen is really cornered on a weird square. So here Alireza continues to pressure bishop to g5. Look how these bishops are playing on the most beautiful squares. Bishop to g5, and now after move knight to b6 we have rook to h4. The rook is getting more and more into the game. Really wild moves that Alireza produced here. Queen to f8, and now knight to e4. This is a beautiful idea, attacking the bishop, attacking the knight, creating a pin. You see bishop to e7 is not a problem here for white, because d6 is an opportunity. You see, even if you take, then we would take off first one, this one, then the rook is coming to the game. So as I said, completely lost game, I think, here for Magnus. So after move knight to e4, Magnus is getting out of the range of the bishop. We have knight to f6 and g takes f6. We have bishop to f6, and Alireza grabs the pawn, has now the bishop pair, is threatening now also the move rook to h8. So completely lost game here by the world champion. So we have king to c7, we have queen to d2, and here after move queen to c8, here Magnus Carlsen tried to somehow include maybe the rook into the game, tries to defend his position, tries maybe to get the king maybe on a secured line. He's maybe trying here also to compete somehow on the 8th rank, but it's, as I said, completely lost here game for the world champion. So after queen to c8, Alireza proceeded here with a normal rook to h7, attacking the f7 weakness. Magnus had now to defend the pawn, but now Alireza produced this normal idea, rook to h8. Now Magnus had to give up the queen for a rook and a bishop, but the problem is also that the pawn on a5 is hanging. We have a rook to h4, queen to e1. Now Magnus is really out of game here. He did also, the threat is to play something like a5. So here knight to d7 was played by Magnus Carlsen, g3, kicking away the rook. We have here the rook to h8, queen to a5, again a new check, knight to b6, queen to c3, attacking now also the rook. In the continuation we have rook to h3, and after queen to g7, in this position Magnus Carlsen resigned. So I'm not sure what happened, why Magnus did play this line, but we have to say it, although Magnus gave here a big opportunity to Alireza, I think Alireza played really a brilliant game, especially in the middle game stage, where he produced ideas with the rook, with some pawn breakthroughs, where he wasn't scared about Magnus Carlsen's attack on the h-file. So really stunning game, and the Magnus is now having really trouble to get back into the game. I'm not sure what happened today against Alireza, but now he has to make something out of this next 3 games. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed the game. Interesting ideas of the Caro-Kann defense. If you want to see more games that we have covered from some other tournaments, and we also in this tournament, check out my commented chess games series. Here's the link of our whole playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what to say, chess is the best, of course.